have to work on how I process my thinking, my thoughts. But all day I kept hearing from people, well, 2020 is almost over. 2020 is almost over. And I'm like, just because the year is over doesn't mean the problems are solved, fixed, and blah, blah, blah. Just because you think a new administration, I'm not going to go too much into that. There's no promises for a better 2021. No promise. There's no promises of a 2021 being great. Because all this could happen again. Right? Next year, another virus can serve. You just don't know. You don't know the future. And that's the thing about the problem with people these days is they count so much on the future, and they have this projection the future is going to be so much better because right now is the worst. But if you don't live in the moment now, you won't even realize that it's probably at its sweet spot right now in life, and you're about to lose all the rewards that you could have had because you put your hope into a false reality. Because to me, I don't even think there's going to be a future to look forward to. Not in a negative way, but I think a lot of folks, they focus so much on the future, so much, but there are no answers to the future. But you can always look back in the past and put all the pieces together in the past. So this morning I had this thought process, and I'm like, what if God created all this, or allowed all this corruption, in my opinion, allowed it, right? Because there's no angry God. There's no God who's mad. Because why would God get mad and destroy himself if everything's created in his own image? But to allow things to happen the way that they're happening, I think it's a clue to say, look at the past. Put the dots together of the past. Look at the Da Vinci codes. Look at the Da Vinci paintings. Look at the Nostradamus prophecies. Pay attention to the things that are transgressed already, the things that have already passed, the things that are already documented, the things that are already left here for us to read, observe, and analyze. So that was my thought process. I was like, we focus so much on how to fix everything that when the next year goes by, then we look back and go, things didn't really get fixed, did they? Then another 10 years go by and we go, wow, it took us 10 years of going into the future to learn how we made it a problem of the past. And that's the perspective I want to share with everybody is, in your own personal reality, think about how to go backwards and revisit some things and put the dots together. And that's a better epiphany. And I was sharing with a friend today, because I have a friend where we talk out our deepest, darkest secrets with each other. And yeah, when you share those deep things, those deep talks with people, someone personal that you know or someone close that you know, when you share that much dialogue with somebody, you actually heal yourself. And I think that's why I use my platform to create these live stream conversations that only two people really pay attention to, but it's okay. Because I always feel like somebody could benefit hearing this. Somebody knows that they can approach me and have a personal, private dialogue. But yeah, I have my personal, shout out to David, my personal friend. We talk about we dish things out of ourselves to each other. And that's the healing process. And I think that's what we're missing. People think that, oh my gosh, I can leave it up to a system to fix the problem. No. The problem is you are so willing. I'll say you. It's tough love because I see a lot of people do it. The problem is you're so willing and eager and anxious to learn, to get over the moment, to go into a better future with uncertainty and unknown territory, when you could have looked at the track record of how far you've come and your paper trail. It's great to look at your range and how far you've come and be proud of it. And I think that's where we fell off in terms of supporting each other in 2020. That's where he fell off in politics and music and entertainment and TV shows and Wendy Williams. And it's where everyone fell. Everybody had some problems the last, I would say, 5 years because they failed to pay attention to their own range. And a lot of people will say, Aaron, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do for work? Blah, 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 blah. Like, how you... I'm like, look, Aaron's already completed a life cycle of what he was supposed to do. I taught a great, amazing dance class. The chapter is done. The door is closed. I'll still teach here and there, and but my body can't do what it has done before 2020. It can't. So in conclusion, I did my part. Life is saying you've done your part. You've healed so many people. I don't need to brag about it. It's my own personal thing. But the range of what I've done, the accolade of what I know I've accomplished, and the success of what I've done, I can take a break. 2020 is my year to let me just lay down and sleep as long as I can and eat as much as I want, and I need to catch my body up. Remember, this is 10 years of, literally 10 years, but 25 is my whole career of dance, where I put my body through the ringer. So imagine how many days it'll take to equate, to bring myself, to regenerate myself back to where I was 20 years ago. So the point is, if you guys get time, read about like Greek mythology, about ancient Egyptian history. Sometimes we don't like to go back in the past because it's confusing. Well, how are you supposed to go in the future if the past is confusing to you? How are you supposed to build a better future when you don't even know your paper trail? I had something on my tongue. My friend, he did an ancestry test, and it inspired me to say, wow, how do you know the present if you cannot even trust yourself to look at the past? A lot of the things of making a better future with ourselves is from learning from the past. And a lot of people think the last past is, 100 years. Or when they say Black slavery or Black History Month, they only focus on the last 50 years. When Black history, even before they migrated to Africa, where were they? Because apparently if we all share similar last names and we're all different colors, we're all different races and ethnic groups, then that means everyone came from Africa. But no one originally came from Africa. We came from somewhere else. So I always say, I say a lot of stuff, but, some of it doesn't ring a bell until it's brought up and someone has an epiphany. And they go, oh my gosh, that's here. Like yesterday someone had made a comment because I was talking about a Bible scripture, talking about the last trump. And I know a lot of people think that it had a lot to do with prayers. And I was like, I think the last Trump had a lot to do with getting in the way of the last agenda that was trying to, change the narrative or keep the narrative where it is now. But a lot of people are awakening to something greater. People are feeling like there's something they got to do. People feel maybe there is something out there. There's a corrupt something going on, and people are aware of it. So the fact that we can be aware of these things and speak upon them, we are creating the last Trump. So I was sharing that on YouTube, and someone's like, you're a liar. And I was like, how am I lying? Because I would have to know the future to cover it up in order to lie. But what I'm discussing has a lot to do with the past and connecting the dots, which people don't do. People don't read all the things of the past. Like, even if folks are not religious, you don't need to be religious to understand parables from the Bible. I think parables from the Bible are awesome because they leave you in thoughts. But the people back then probably weren't as uniquely intelligent as we are now. So with the mindset we have now, we could actually go back and redefine those things and look into those things of the past with a greater in-depth theory, because we are far more into our consciousness now than those of the past. But we've been told that the technology was much greater in the past. No, no, no. It wasn't greater, just there was resources back then, and people witnessed those resources, and we're being kept from them now. Why are we being kept from them? How do we know? Because we're poor. We're broke. There wasn't currency back then at a time when there was useful resources to build things and whatever. So I'm gonna go. I'm hungry, but thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in. But yeah, think about that. Just think about that. How can you expect a better 2020? How can you say, "Oh my gosh, 2020 is it's almost over. Oh my gosh." Everything doesn't disappear just because the year ends. And we all know this. Like, you can have resolutions for the next year, or January 1st, you make all your, like, healthy choices. Like, why do you do that to yourselves, people? Stop doing that. Do it now. How did you have a better start of 2020? Actually, I didn't. But how did you guys have a good start of 2020? For me, I think I'm gonna pause. I tried to say I could rebuild myself. I can reinvent. I can do this on my own. And when I did have that mindset of do this on my own, then the pandemic happened. I was like, yep, I tried. So anyways, yes, so my challenge, and that's actually another reason why. Hi, Greg, I saw you. I think that's why we belly dance, because we're so attracted to an era of a time where it's such a mystery, but then you look at how we're performing now, and it feels like we already know in our body, in our blood, our DNA, our veins, that we already know this. We've already been through this before. So when it becomes familial, and it becomes, organic and natural, it's easy to comprehend. And that's just where I'm coming from, is look in the past and connect to things that make sense to you. And then that's how you build a better future. I believe in the deja vu effect. And my theory is, when you have the aha moment, you edit your own personal future. You edit your own timeline. And a lot of people in the new age community, they call it timeline jumping. That's just too much for me. But I like it Back to the Future, movies like that, where they jump time. And I think they didn't say, even the X-Men movie, what was that one? Days of Future Past. So they died in the, spoiler alert, they died in the future, or they died in the present. And so if they died in the present, there's no future. So, but something got messed up. They had to send somebody back. Sending them back did a reset. And then now you have these younger kids. And that's when the Dark Phoenix movie came out. And you have the younger versions of all the mutants, blah, blah, blah. But pay attention to that stuff. Because I think there's hidden messages in every movie we watch that says, look in the past. Stop going to the future. There's no answers in the future. So I'm sorry, you guys who put your hopes in. I'm not going to say it. But yeah, you think, oh, yay, we won. We kicked him out of office. That doesn't mean you're going to have a great future. It just means that what ruined your 2020 in your own mentality is being removed. But then how did that happen? Who was around that person that caused so much corruption? And are the people who caused that corruption, are they still going to be in their positions? Because if they did it to Mr. Acts like he knows it all, what makes you think that they're going to be fair to Mr. The second guy who thinks he knows it all? We're going to do 100 days masking. We've been doing 9 months of masking, so what difference is that going to make? But 100 days of masking? Does that mean like you have to wear your mask at home too, and on the toilet and in the shower? Don't put your false hopes and false promises into the Pharisees, the ones that, have the wealth, the money, and the power to do what they want. It's supposed to be a short live stream, and I kept going. The last thing I wanted to preach about was, I'm being funny. I have a pizza. I said something yesterday. I said the rich and the wealthy have the wealth and power to use they can manipulate their narrative. Let's say like you had the money to I'm trying to get the light out the way. Let's say you had the money to rid of viruses and bacteria and get your own antibiotics and your own penicillins or whatever, because you were that wealthy. And the proof is, because we look in the past, right? The proof is, if a celebrity can pay for their child to cheat college, what makes you think that they cannot pay for certain biochemicals and holistics? Maybe they have the answers and solutions already. And so us who are the middle and low class are depending on a vaccination to move forward in the future. That makes absolutely no sense at all. I keep saying to people, like, stop putting your hopes in. Because if the case were something were this bad to where there's that many lives dying on a daily, we all wouldn't be here right now. That would have meant that HIV would have killed off everybody who was part of a certain community in the early 90s, late 80s. Early 80s, late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. Anyways, I'm preaching. I'm out of breath. Excuse me, I just need to split my pizza. Beep. So how's everybody doing out there? I see 4. Part of my dealings with people during the week, it's really about helping people think differently than the way they think now. And it's not like I know it all, but when I see a lot of what's going on, it inspires me to switch up the narrative. And the way that I can do that is by saying to people, like, if you just stop looking for answers. Sorry. All right. Stupid room divider. If you stop looking for answers and start searching for solutions and start connecting the dots, I think that you find a little bit more clarity. This also goes into the department of hurting yourself. I remember I mentioned that I knew someone who was contemplating doing something, and I was extremely hurt by it. But that was their future. That was their answer, was, I'm going to do this because, blah, 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 blah. The easiest solution is just to end my life. And I said to the person, if you do you realize how much burden you're going to put on other people? And then if you do, then we have to look back into the past of what went wrong and realize that it's too late. You can't go into the past when it's too late. Over someone who thought that their answers and solutions were going to the future because it was too soon. So how do you have common ground and stay balanced while you're still alive? Put a paper trail. Where have you came from in your own walk of life? And if that walk of life was very significant and you got thus far, then you can go further. And that's the mindful approach to getting through 2020. We've gotten this far. Okay, I'm hungry and I'm tired. I will be back later on today. And, I'm going to do weekly horoscopes later on today. Holla. Bye, everybody. Oh, because my best friend's